Hey everybody, Pete Blank here from the Personnel Board of Jefferson County in Birmingham, Alabama. We're going to share some quick notes with you during this coronavirus, during this time in our world's history about the 10 leadership words you should avoid right now. This can be among your family, among your friends, among your coworkers, just things you want to be careful of, because we want to be careful of emotional-based words. Everything we use as leaders right now should be based on facts. When you're discussing scary topics as a leader, you want to be as factual as you can. This is a scary topic right now. Healthcare is a scary topic. Furloughs, layoffs, budgets, restaurants, bars, opening there. Everything has got a little bit of emotion to it. And so when we're thinking about that, we want to use as many factual words as we can and not these feeling words. Also, some words that deal in absolutes, which we'll talk about today, also can cause us some trouble. So we're going to go through some of these today. Thank you to all the 18 folks who have joined us today. And all those of you who are watching on the recorded version, we appreciate you being here. Let's go ahead and get rocking. And like I said, in the chat box today, feel free to open up the chat box and write down some words that you've heard or that you think are kind of confusing and maybe shouldn't be used right now. We talk about this in our training session. I know a lot of our trainers are on right now from the Personnel Board. Whenever we talk about coaching and feedback, we talk about the words always and never. So again, be careful with always. And I actually use this sometimes, and I've got to be careful with this. Hey, I will always put the employees first. I will always put the employees first. Well, we might not be able to do that when there's not enough money in the budget to always put the employees first. I will always make sure that you are in the safest work environment ever. I will always wipe down every single plate before or what do you call those things? Light switches. I will always wipe those down. I always do. So again, the same thing holds true with the whole word never, always and never. No, I never do that. I will never let my employees go. So just be careful using these words pretty much anytime as a leader, but especially during the times of crisis, because people will hold you to that. They'll say, well, you said you would always do this. In fact, Greg just put a new word in here, the new normal. The new normal is one we're hearing a whole lot today. What is the new normal? So when you tell people in your workplace, don't worry, we just got to get used to the new normal. Well, does the new normal mean 50% less budget to spend? Does the new normal mean we've got to all wash our hands 12 times a day? What is the new normal? So until we get that defined, that's going to freak some people out, because your normal is a lot different from their normal. Then we've got these words, nothing and everything. Nothing's going to change. Don't worry. When we get back to the workplace, nothing is going to change. We'll still be doing training classes. We'll still be doing tests. Nothing's going to change when it comes to that. Really? Because it's possible something may change. It's possible something's going to happen. So when we talk about the words, again, everything and nothing, just be careful using those words as well, because they can cause a lot of anxiety. They can cause a lot of stress. So those are the opposites that we tend to always seem to use, nothing and everything. All right, let's talk about this one. We got to be careful using this. Oh, it's going to be impossible to return back to work anytime before June 1st. It's going to be impossible to do training the way we used to do it. Yeah, it's going to be impossible to have a full staff at this restaurant. Well, nothing is impossible with God, but nothing is impossible. There are some things that might be impossible, but that type of word tends to put fear and anxiety into people, because maybe in the back of their mind, they're thinking, well, we could do it. We could do this if we added some resources or brought in some new people or some new thing. So be careful about throwing stuff out there. And again, not just during the coronavirus time, but anytime, and saying this is going to be impossible. Because then you come across as a leader who's a naysayer. You come across as a leader who's not a creative thinker. You come across as a leader who doesn't have critical thinking skills and is creative. So yes, some things may be impossible. I wouldn't use those words. I would, say, let's look into that. Let's gather some more data. Let's get some more facts and see if that's something that we can accomplish together as an organization. This one is big right now. News media love to use things that are collapsing. The economy is collapsing. The airline industry is collapsing. Oh, the movie industry is collapsing. Movie theaters are collapsing. Amazon, everything is collapsing. No one knows what that means. Does collapsing mean that it's going to go under? Does collapsing mean there's no more money? Or in your mind, does collapsing mean it's going to look a lot different than it did prior? So things are going to look different. I think as leaders, we all agree, things are going to look and feel a little bit different over the coming 6 to 12 months. But does that mean that things are collapsing? The retail industry is collapsing. The retail industry is in bad shape right now. The data shows that Best Buy has furloughed 51,000 people, and JCPenney is very close to bankruptcy, and AMC Theaters is very close to bankruptcy, and SeaWorld may be very close to bankruptcy, and all of these things, those are factual things that I can point to. But to say there's going to be a huge collapse, I'd be a little concerned, because again, those are emotional words that really bother me. Now, at the end of the day, the airline industry, if it collapses, that means there's no more planes flying and all that. I don't think we'll ever see that. So when you use those really negative words like that trigger emotion, you want to be careful with that. Devastated or devastating. And by the way, as I mentioned earlier, you want to type any other words that you hear in the chat box that are kind of out there that we can talk about. Devastating is a big one. This is going to have a devastating effect on us. It's going to have a devastating way on the way we do business. While it might, that's still a word that does not instill leadership confidence, because it's very gray. What does devastating look like? We can still reopen our restaurant or reopen our city, and now, but it could look different because there's less money to go around, this and that. But devastated, really devastated, that's when we want to be careful of. Kim makes a good point. She goes, people will most likely withdraw and stop giving feedback if a leader says it's impossible. Right. I mean, if it's impossible, we're never going to get that done. Well, okay, well then I'll stop bringing up ideas because you shoot them all down. So be real careful saying that things are going to be devastated the housing industry is going to be devastated. It's going to be a devastating economy over the next 6 to 12 months. All of these things may be emotions you have, or they may come to fruition. We just don't know. We just don't know. And our job as a leader is to stay in the fact-based world right now, as opposed to just drilling up emotions. Don't get me started on huge. Everything can't be huge. Some things are mediocre, medium, small, extra large, venti, grande, whatever you want to call them. But everything can't be huge. It's a huge difference. It's a huge investment. It's a huge this. Well, what does huge mean? So I think we want to be careful. Be careful with that one. Immeasurable. I'm hearing this a lot recently. This is immeasurable. Now, remember what immeasurable means. It means it can't be measured. A lot of the things we're talking about can be measured. We can factually measure how much money is going to be coming in, what the tax revenue is going to look like, what percentage of GDP is going to exist or not exist, or up or down. We can measure lots of things, but to say this is going to have an immeasurable effect on the economy, well, I bet we got some smart people in this country who can run some numbers and get us some data. So be careful always using immeasurable. And finally, deadly. This one's just inappropriate for many reasons. Some of you may have already been impacted with somebody who has lost their lives because of this disease. You definitely, if someone has gotten sick or even in the hospital because of COVID-19, and we're like, this has a deadly effect on the country, that may trigger somebody to be a little more upset, a little more emotional, because this has been a deadly experience for them. So you want to be real careful with the idea of using the word this has got deadly consequences to it. Isla says if you can't quantify the word, it sounds like you need to stay away from it. You need to be a little careful, yeah, because as a person, I'm going to push back. Some of you have kids, and I do this all the time with my kids when they'll say things like, I always turn off my light when I leave the bedroom. I never leave my closet light on. And the first thing I'm going to say is, never? Really? Because 2 weeks ago, I was up there and the closet light was on. Well, you know what I mean. So again, just because we do it with our kids, other people will do it too. They'll push back and go, never, always, really, devastating, really, immeasurable, really? And then they start questioning you. So very, very good point, Isla. So again, last one, be aware of deadly and not using that. So here's our words: always, never, nothing, everything, impossible, collapsing, devastated, huge, immeasurable, and deadly. Let me pull up our last poll for the day. as we see if I can get this final poll up. Let's see. Poll number 3. Here we go. Let me launch this. Which of these one words, you only get to choose one before you get to choose all of them. Which of these one words will you commit to removing from your vocabulary when talking about the coronavirus or this time of year with your team members, your coworkers, or your family members? So basically what the question says is, which one of these 10 words do you tend to use a lot? Do you tend to always throw out when we're talking with coworkers and when we're talking with our family members? You know, if you use one of these, go ahead and just sort of give yourself an action item here and go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to pull impossible out. I'm going to stop saying the economy is going to be devastated. I'm going to stop saying that, you know, this is going to be impossible to get back to the way it used to be. I'm going to stop saying we're never going to have a college football season. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say that. So, yeah, just go ahead and choose one of these words again that you know comes out of your vocabulary. I'll give you about 10 more seconds to choose one, and we'll see which of these words y'all tend to use. Anybody else there? We got about 20 people on. Go ahead and vote. Again, this is totally anonymous. I'm not going to come after you and record you and make sure that you're using the words correctly. So go ahead and everybody vote. Let's see which one of these. And if you can't vote, look at the bottom of your screen. There should be a poll button, and you click on that, and it brings it up in case you can't see it. Just hover your mouse along the bottom. So, all right, let's close this poll, end this, and let me go ahead and share. It looks like all of us live in the world of never. So again, a lot of us are going to stop saying never, never. And we've got a lot of people going to stop saying that this is devastating, that this is huge. And while it is, again, and while it may be, it is tough to kind of quantify that. So thank you for just being a part of that. All right, here we go. One last advertising thing that I want to share with you all. Let me see where I go with this. Here we go. Here it is. Let me get out of here. Next week, we're going to keep doing these. All right, so get excited. Monday. Hey, next week is Administrative Professionals Week. If you haven't thought about that, if you've got some admin professionals in your office, just because they're all deployed and may not be there doesn't mean we don't want to thank them for all the hard work that particular group is doing. So join me on Monday, and I'll share some tips, things that you can do to help recognize them. Tuesday, how to take care of your mental health. Wednesday, Kim's going to do a great job. Or is that Greg? I think that's Greg. Greg's going to talk about how to take 16 free courses on LinkedIn Learning. So even if you're right now, LinkedIn Learning has put 16 free courses out there. If you're an impact right now and watching this, you already have access to these. But everybody else, come on and take a look. Kim's also going to talk about interactive apps on Thursday that you can use during your meetings. That'll be fun. And then on Friday, how to de-stress your home office. How to de-stress. So if you are working from home and you are working remotely, make sure that we tune in for that one. Same web address, same everything. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Closing comments. Everybody say goodbye. Say goodbye in your little comment box there. Say that. Let me know that this was the best 15 minutes of your day. This is the Personnel Board of Jefferson County providing value to you on a regular day and a regular basis. Thanks, everybody. Use those leadership words correctly, or don't use those ones we talked about at all. And have a great weekend, everybody. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye. Thank you all for joining us. Bye-bye.